I'm talking to Dr. George Cricard, part of the Building for Quincy group, and Doc, we are here in the final week of the campaign. When you've gone out and your associates have gone out, what's the top question that people want to talk about when we talk about the Quincy School Bond referendum?
Well, I think there's two things that always come up. Number one is, what's the financial aspect behind it? What's it going to cost me as a taxpayer? And right now our answer is that the tax rate will not go up because of the bond referendum. So it seems to be a win-win. Currently, we are all paying the same amount of taxes, but right now our tax money is obviously going, we think, down the drain. It's going to schools that just can't be brought up to code, per se, even with the amount of money we're dumping into it. So with the new proposal, with the $89 million bond referendum, we feel that tax money is better off spent on new schools. So right now our tax rate won't go up. The other big question, frankly, is where the new school is going to be. And we know that the Monroe school site currently is going to be obviously one of them. The Baldwin school site is going to be the second. Then we have three other school locations that have yet to be determined. 66% of the population, student-wise, lives between 24th Street and the river. So we know that at least two schools will have to be in the northwest quadrant and the southwest quadrant.
And I know that's one of the things that I at the forums I attended. I know that was something that was brought up. But when you're talking about sort of getting this issue out there, to me that seems like those are. I mean, the financing obviously and the tax rate is huge, but the other things. I mean, when you're looking at when you see the plans, and you can click the link below this video to see the plans. When you see the plans and when you see the way it's all kind of laid out, I think one of the things that your group has done is really you've been forthright. You've answered all the questions. I think one of the things that the school district has been dinged on for years has been, people want to dwell on what happened 40 years ago with selling a school for $1 or whatever. And I think one of the things that you have to get over is get that through to people is, look, that was then, this is now, it's apples and oranges. And, I think by laying the plan out the way you have, I think it's real tough for people to kind of go, yeah, but on some of this stuff. I mean, it's not perfect. We all know that. There's no perfect plan. But it is the plan that the school district, the school board, has given us, and it's a clear option and a clear choice for people.
Absolutely, and that's what we're kind of getting at. And we realize that there's years of history that people go back. I mean, people always bring up even the Lincoln School, which I think happened either at the time I was in grade school or right after in the 80s, and late 70s, early 80s. And you're right, we can't deny history. On the other hand, we feel that this is the right thing to do and the right time to do it. The bond rate is very low. I'm not a finance guy. The bond rate is very low, so borrowing money, it's the right time to do it. We have not had new schools in Quincy for 42 years, the most recent being the high school, which actually is still a very nice building. But now's the right time to do it. And that was part of the Building for Quincy's committee goal, was to get the word out. And the more people that we talk to, the more positive feedback we get. And we always have people that come up after a public forum or public gathering and say, boy, I was totally against this. But now that I've heard the facts and I've heard you guys talk, I don't know how you can not be against it. Wait, not be against it.
How you can't support it. There you
go. I have to be for it. So that's good news for us to hear people say, wow, hearing the information, we don't necessarily have kids in the public schools. Maybe we don't have kids at all anymore that are attending school, but it's the right thing to do for Quincy, and that's what drives us.
And I think the other thing is when, another good selling point has been, the perspective new citizens that we get, whether they be doctors, whether they be engineers, whether they're going to go work at Knappi Titan, wherever you want to come in, and one of the first questions, and we've heard this for years in dealing with economic development folks, is how are your schools? And I think one of the things that I've noticed in the last year and a half where the school board has decided to have the rotating meetings, which I think is a major pain in the rear. But it has shown me that these schools are in really bad shape. And I didn't realize that because, you have a kid that goes to Adams or a kid that goes to Monroe or Baldwin. You're really focused on those. But you go into Dewey and you go into Madison, which, again, Madison's a great old building. But, you go into Dewey and you go into Berrien and some of these, and it's like when they're not even ADA accessible, something needs to be done, and something needs to be done that is in the right fiscal way to do it.
Right, and that's what we feel this plan offers. And we were just at Berrien a couple days ago, and again, beautiful old building, nice, beautiful stairwells. There's actually, at Madison School, there's a third grader whose parent can't even come to any parental functions because they're wheelchair bound and can't get up and down the stairs at Madison School. So just as far as the ADA handicap accessibility of our schools, it's not there currently. Currently, we have all of our kids that need those special facilities at Monroe School, and there's, I think, a set of 4 stairs there that they have to negotiate, so it's not ideal there. So if you look at the safety of our schools as well, I mean, with what happened out at Washington State this week, we hope that never happens in Quincy, but if it does, we want to have the ability to have safe, secure environment for our kids to go to school. Obviously, when we went to school, it wasn't a concern. There was no fence around Madison School when I went there. There was no security guard at Madison School. That's not the day and age we live in now. And I always use the old car analogy, and someone brought up yesterday, George, you need to say that you wouldn't drive a 1966 car anymore without airbags for your kids, and I think that's right too. Seat belts and airbags are important for cars, just as safety in our schools are important these days.